welcome. It's good to be together, and I very much appreciate the opportunity to be with you. I wanted to begin with the Rosicrucian reflection that was shared today, and I thought some of you likely have already read it, and when I read it today, I was like, oh wow, this seems so much to resonate, at least with I think the essence of the comments I wanted to share with you today. And it's by our former imperator Christian Bernard, and I'm going to read it. I'm going to be squinting a little bit, so don't mind that, but it's small. It's my phone, and it says, the goal of the Rosicrucian student is to live mysticism, and mysticism by definition is the practice of strengthening the bond that unites us with the God of our heart. It is through this cosmic attunement, being of necessity harmonic and harmonious, that we can understand our origin, our nature, and the infinite powers that are conferred upon those who master it. You are therefore encouraged to expend every possible effort to live daily the harmonic rapport that unites you with the divine, so that through conscious revelation and illumination, you become forever instruments of cosmic harmony and universal peace. And that's from our beloved former imperator Christian Bernard to share those thoughts. So Francois, tonight's topic really in many ways is an extension of something that I had the opportunity to speak with many people about last year at this time, in this kind of end of year, beginning of the solstice symposium. And it had very much to do with looking at love and as I at the time put it, kind of likely the real human question is, where is the love, right? And I put it that way, just expressing, I think, normal human sentiments as we hear during this season, and many other things about love. And of course, for many people, they would, and actually I would think 99% of people, they would think their daily experience is, well, love is hard to come by, and love is finite, and love is not often there, and life is really has a lot of turmoil and torment and et cetera as part of it. So that was kind of what kind of prompted the discussion last year, and looking at the evidence for love, and then thinking and talking a little bit about the road to it. And interesting, fortunately, at least for my own self, my own growth and contemplation, during the course of the year, I very often, we have a Trinity convocation we do with the New York Rosicrucian Cultural Center in New York, and in some cases, I'm leading part of the ritual, and it very much, when I began to reflect on the content of the Prineus ritual, and that's something available to all Rosicrucians, no matter whether you just started last week or many weeks ago. And there's a part of it that refers to the Trinity of lights. And we hear and see many references to the phrase life, light, and love in our Rosicrucian lives, teachings, seminars, and rituals. And in the Prineus Convocation is referred to as the Trinity of lights. And reflecting on it, and kind of the topic of this conversation last year about where is the love, so to speak, I was amazed to see, upon a little reflection, a bit of a blueprint laid out, how to find the love, right? And by the way, what is presented here is just stuff for your own starting point, for your own meditations and reflections, right? Years ago, someone once asked me, what did the three candles on the altar symbolize? And It happened to be a Martinist temple, but and I was like, well, I can tell you about 50 things, but I'm sure there's another 500. So don't don't let anything stop your own meditations, right? So this is just food for thought, grist for the mill for each of us to, just add to whatever it does in our own cogitations, meditations, on what we can take from the things we're exposed to through the Rosicrucian teachings. So it's the Trinity of Lights, and I'm going to read this part from the Convocation ritual, because again, all Rosicrucians can access it, and I really encourage you to do it. There's such depth and profundity in the Rosicrucian everything, right? So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to do a little screen sharing now, which I'm pretty confident is going to work. And here we go. Let's see. Okay. So I am screen sharing. Yep. Okay. So the Trinity of Light, life, and love. So I'm going to read this for you. It says, the divine reality is one, for everything in existence comes from and is united with the cosmic. In the cosmic resides the light that manifested when the universe began. Through light, life manifests on earth in the form of many creatures. Humans are the most highly evolved of these creatures, for we possess consciousness of self. With life, humans can evolve toward the understanding of the divine reality and thereby experience love. Then we are ready to receive illumination. There are not many words there. I did not add them up, but I'm going to guess it's likely 75, fewer than 75 words there. But I'm going to say, as you likely will find in your own reflections, if you haven't already, there are books that could be written on what is said there and given to us in these few words. It's amazing, everything that is given, and that's something as profound. Some things as profound can be given so simply and matter of factly and directly in so few words. And so I am just wondering why this is. Oh, that worked. Got to do the right thing. All right. So I wanted to review kind of piece by piece these 60 or 70 words, or some of the phrases there. And so the first one is about light, right? It says the divine reality is one, for everything in existence comes from and is united with the cosmic. In the cosmic resides the light that manifested when the universe began. And let's spend time together kind of digging a bit more deeply into even that first reference to light. In some ways, my own personal observation, say belief, this first part is likely the most pivotal, foundational thing to recognize and to realize. And I mean, realize with a capital R, which means decades of work, likely, if not lifetimes, but surely decades be my guess, at least for most of us. The divine reality is one, for everything in existence comes from and is united with the cosmic. And that really means everything. Right? There is one nature, one essence, one substance that underlies all things. The Martinist teachings use the term omneity. which has Latin roots, meaning the all or the everything to describe it. So they're not multiple realities. They're not multiple sources of reality. It is all comes from one divine reality, and that everything in existence shares that nature and that essence. There is nothing outside of it. As many who have commented on this have said, the divine itself is indivisible. Kind of in the Jewish Kabbalah, it talks about, you basically can't go and divide one. There's nothing, more foundational than one. And so the divine reality is one, it's indivisible, and it is ever present, it's omnipresent, it's present in all things express it. Its nature is not diminished or greater in any way of terms of accessing it or its expression. And the metaphor analogy that sometimes people have used, it's like in the drop of water, you also have the ocean. The same properties are in a drop of water as in an ocean full of water. The nature of it is not divisible. So if this is the case, that the divine reality is one, and for everything in existence comes from the cosmic, we have to, reflect on how do we look at all these manifestations of the cosmic. So if all of these things that we see about us are manifestations of the cosmic, just as we are, you and I and all of us, are all simply manifestations of the cosmic, right? What do you think is a good attitude toward these other things? One thing that you likely have seen in your life as students of mysticism is that, in a sense, the cosmic doesn't embrace things that are kind of harmful or anti its elements or its expression. Right. When it's like in a body, if you poison some cells in the body, you're harming the whole body. And the cosmic doesn't support things that go to poison, harm another aspect of the expression of his nature. And I think to the imperative's point about harmony and harmonious, right? That's when things are working and supporting each other as part of their nature. Right. So if we understand that, if I kind of make reference to a Jesus quote, he said, "Whatever you do unto the least of mine, you do unto me." That's recognizing the universality of everything. So we are really, I'm going to put it this way initially, we're called upon to respect and love all of its manifestations. And that's hard for us to do typically, right? But as long as we turn our back, our attitudes in opposition to elements of the cosmic, and not kind of embracing them with a point of love and oneness, we will find that that disharmony that we're evoking, we're provoking, right, will create karmic things in our lives that we generally don't like. we don't find to be comfortable and helpful, and they do not make us happy typically. So in the modernist tradition, we're called upon to create the ideal personality, which is impersonality, which says to respond to all those things around us, not based on our own personal history and personal sentiments and personal backgrounds, but to embrace them all simply as they are. When we look at human beings, right, we're also critical and judgmental of other human beings, right? We don't appreciate, no matter what we think to be there's the nature of their political shortcomings, or things that they perhaps are not able to display or achieve, but we do not honor them as those are human beings displaying as much of their soul development or expression of their soul and soul personalities as the situation is. But instead we treat them like they're an alien, though we wouldn't want to treat our son or daughter that way, or our spouse or loved one that way, or partner that way, because we feel a oneness with them. We love them. So our unfortunately, we parcel out this quote unquote love. And in doing that, we unfortunately for ourselves put ourselves cross current to the harmony of the cosmic. And basically the cosmic doesn't stand that, it basically corrects it. And the more we resist, usually the more painful the correction feels to us. Sometimes the notion, the two things that come to mind when I kind of beat myself up a little bit as needed around these things to remind myself is, one is if we treated other human beings like we treat dogs, the world would be virtually perfect and ideal. Right? We accept dogs however they are: tall, short, fat, thin, cute this way or cute that way. I mean, look, people, we all came to love bulldogs because they went a whole 180 degrees on the ugliness scale that they became cute. Right? We accept them as they are. We don't value them. So if we treated other human beings, right, with the same openness of heart and embrace them as we would embrace 8 billion dogs, not all in the same room at one time, obviously, but as life is, that would be how, if we got our heart adjusted properly, right, where we could embrace all these manifestations because the divine reality is one. And it really kind of, it's just important for us, for our own felicity, to bring ourselves along that journey. Another example that's really helped me at times to think about this is just imagining that all 8 billion people are just 8 billion different flowers. Right? They're all different. They're all just different flowers. We don't go, I don't like that flower or this flower. They're all just beautiful flowers. Can we make that transformation ourselves to embrace all of these things that are part of this one same divine reality? They're just things to think about this way. Then I feel like sorry, I'm going to go back for a second. Then we have, in the cosmic resides the light that manifested when the universe began. I want to touch on this for a little bit, and that is, when you think of light, think of consciousness, think of awareness, think of mind, think of intelligence, and more so, perhaps mind, than more so intelligence than mind, just this formless intelligence. because this light that is this expression, whether in science you call it the Big Bang that brought the material, the universe as we know it into existence, right? But underlying it and in every fiber, every aspect of it is embedded in it is this almost unfathomable intelligence, right? So when we think of light as this intelligence that manifests as the cosmic and the physical laws that maintain reality as we experience it, right? That the light is not just light around one's eyes or to one's eyes, but it is this intelligence that permeates and is diffused throughout the whole. It permeates all of creation. And as you think about, again, the physical laws of the universe that physicists track, understand that there's mind or intelligence that makes for those laws and their existence and supports their manifestation. There aren't a bunch of fences up or physical things up. There are these principles of consciousness that manifest as these laws that physicists know. And then we also know as laws of karma and all these other type of things. But this light that's referred to is an intelligence. And I guess in many ways why we refer to illumination in the same way is recognizing this light is an intelligence. And we are part of that light. So all you can find in this reflection about light, how the cosmic has brought things into being, but there's intelligence that supports and maintains it. It's the intelligence we see in our body, but it's also the intelligence that we see that keeps the planets, in their orbits and the galaxies, et cetera, moving through the heavens as well. So then we also have life. And it said through light, through this intelligence, life manifests on earth in the form of many creatures. And, if any of us who've watched, any PBS TV about any of these things, say, my God, the incalculable intelligence, right, behind life and the many forms of life and interaction of these forms of life and the variety and the beauty of them and the uniqueness of them, right? That's that genius, that light, that intelligence, right? Then brought life into manifestation, right? Form of many creatures. So humans are among the most highly evolved of these creatures, for we possess consciousness of self. So when we look at that consciousness, that divine intelligence, which basically is behind evolution and our own spiritual evolution, it is that same light that organizes life, but also directs the evolution that scientists don't understand. They may see its activity, but to understand this thing that drives to greater and greater complexity, it is because of this intelligence, this light that underlies life, right? When that kind of intelligence leaves one aspect of the body, right, the body breaks down. We as humans have the advantage of having a level of self-consciousness which allows us to participate in our own evolution. So this is really, I would say, a critical thing to keep in mind and understand the opportunity that we have, because there are many evolved creatures and we see some elements of self-consciousness, but humans surely display it to our senses, at least, at a higher level of awareness, which allows us to actively participate in our own evolution. in our spiritual evolution, as compared to us being passive participants in it. We actually can do things as we do with Rosicrucian order, right? And look at how to advance our own evolution. And that's an amazing and marvelous opportunity that we have. And for those of us who've been on the path a bit perhaps longer than some others, but there's a certain point when you're on this path, you'll see it is miraculous what it can provide. So this opportunity to participate in our own evolution, really transform the everyday ordinary human experience, which to some degree, unfortunately, is somewhat of chaos and a lot of other kind of very difficult things, that we have this ability to become these active agents to do that and bring about, some amazing results in our lives and help with this journey. And so then we also have love. So it said, with life, humans can evolve toward the understanding of the divine reality and thereby experience love. Then we are ready to receive illumination. And this is really what kind of started me on this conversation of this kind of journey of thought. So we say, with life, humans can evolve toward the understanding of the divine reality and thereby experience love. What we looked at initially, looking at as we're told, the divine reality is one. And my suggestion to you is that the road to the understanding of the divine reality and the kind of the breadcrumbs that get us there and feed us more as we go along is the more we recognize this oneness. There may be many other things to recognize along the way, but this oneness, this understanding and appreciating and beginning to reshape oneself around this oneness, right, is what kind of leading us to this experience of love. In some ways, you could say humankind, it feels like it's been somehow locked outside of the Garden of Eden, right? And experiencing the many vicissitudes of material life. Even though we see love around us, we see it in behavior of a mother to their child, or family members to one another, etc. And we hear the reports of it from near-death experiences of people experiencing this love as they make this transition from this material life to other stages of evolution and reincarnation. It exists. The way to access this is evolve toward the understanding of the divine reality. And that understanding is not simply intellectual. It comes back to the Gnostics, right? It's never about just reading the book. It's how do we bring about this evolution in ourselves? Because the more we recognize the oneness in our actions, so through our actions, our words, and our thoughts, the more we experience the love underlying reality. And I kind of put it in this order: our actions, words, and thoughts, because the actions usually are the first things we can fix, right? Stop doing that, realize it's no good to do that. The next thing is our words, all right? Avoiding expressing certain thoughts that maybe aren't charitable, kind to others as they could be. And then lastly, bringing about this transformation of our thoughts. And the more we do this, and as I've noted before, the cosmic, the God, this intelligence doesn't require perfection. Evolution, yes, on an ongoing basis, but not perfection at all. To begin to demonstrate, to allow us to see this love, this benevolence, this charity towards us, which can be very startling initially, because obviously we're so conditioned to, it's like the mouse in the cage who gets shocked. We're so conditioned to being shocked, it's hard to believe initially. Wow. Right? But as we work on developing these thoughts and moving ourselves along on this journey, we begin to see this amazing generosity of the cosmic and benevolence of the cosmic, of this divine intelligence operating in our lives. And that can be so transformative. It is a journey for us, because initially, of course, we come to this world as little babies. We think the world's all about us, right? Everything is centered on us. And yes, when then we get part of a family, say, okay, it's us and our family, but to really get to where we can accept and truly accept the value of others as being equal to ourselves, and therefore respecting and regarding and developing that type of oneness, it is a journey for us, because I say we start out from infancy thinking it's just us, and we must make this journey emotionally as well as kind of philosophically. As our world gradually expands to include others as separate beings with will and direction independent of us, but then we must impart to them equal rights to be as they are without judgment, bringing us into increased harmony with the one, that divine reality. What I would just, kind of somewhat in closing here, I'll give you a suggestion that I find helps me. And I say, in order to retrain ourselves, because we have to retrain ourselves, we can remind ourselves constantly of the oneness of all things. Right? Remind yourself, when you see yourself going down there with a certain attitude, a certain thought, and so on, replace that thought, right, with a realization, a recognition of the oneness of all things. Right? Remember that as God in manifestation. Your attitude will change immediately. Your attitude, I don't care what, adverse attitude you had about whatever it was, jealousy, meanness, anger, whatever, your attitude will change immediately. And we begin creating new neural pathways, so to speak, to replace our old reactions and thought patterns. Right? So use it, remind oneself, right? That's God in manifestation. Right, all of these things, as if we get lost in the illusion, we therefore forget our real nature. And as we remind ourselves of our real nature, we bring ourselves into greater harmony. And that kind of leads us to this last part. But this is something that I can't help you with further. We have to obviously just keep doing the preparation. I have no words to be useful here, but let us all keep at it on this journey, right? Trying to more and more reshape ourselves to appreciate the oneness of it all, that there's this divine intelligence underlying it all, and in our own ways looking to accept that which we might have found as acceptable, but if we recognize it as God in manifestation, we will see that our attitude changes pretty immediately. So happy holidays, God bless, so mote it be.